I want to welcome everyone back to an exciting episode of Soul Impact. I'm your host, Wild Willie. Today with me, I got DeadAir Dennis. Dennis, I want to welcome you to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me, Willie. I'm excited to be talking about my favorite subjects, music and me.
Well, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and kind of what you got going on right now?
Yeah, I am a stand-up comedian, podcaster, actor, writer, and now traveling comedic tour guide of the city of Boston. I do stand-up comedy all across the country when I have the chance to be able to tour across the country, which I'll be doing again this winter. I usually take about 3 months off from work and drive around the country doing stand-up comedy. Been a comedian for now going on 13 years. And before that, I was a radio DJ and producer, and I worked in the radio industry as an engineer, on-air talent. And that's what led me to the career that I have now, because it was music that originally got me to be wanting to be part of radio. When I was growing up, I grew up in the heyday of radio music, the 1990s. Maybe somebody else will say it's a different time genre, but for alternative rock music, you can't beat the late 80s, 90s, that surge of radio. Like, that was the decline of radio was then. That time frame is when radio reached the pinnacle and then started to go down, and now we don't have as much radio as now as we used to, but it's all come into different formats, just like podcasting, like here itself. But for me, radio brought together all my favorite things. It brought together music and comedy and like behind the scenes, talking to artists, interviews, the BTS stuff, like making movies and film and living that life, and interviewing those creative, entertaining types of people. So radio was the place where all of that converged for me.
So how did you get your start? What drove you into it?
What drove me into radio was when I was young. When you're young, you always have that conversation of what are you going to be when you grow up. And in my high school, we had to do the pitch for job plan. Like we had a whole class dedicated to job interviews and how to find our way into the career that we wanted. And at the time, I thought my career was going to be civil engineering. I wanted to be a civil engineer because my dad grew up, he dropped out of school at 12 years old and went into the workforce, to help the family. And he always instilled in me, is like, try to work with your mind, not with your hands. Don't be like me. Work with your mind. Don't break your back. And so when I always had an interest in like building and creating and fixing things, I was like, you know what I want to do? I'm going to go into construction. I want to build houses. My dad was like, don't go into construction. Be an engineer. Construction guys are the ones that make the things, right? They use the brawn. An architect designs the things. The engineer is the one who makes it happen. He takes the designs and he makes it real. And he tells how the construction workers how to make the things that they need to make. So go into civil engineering. That's what I thought I was going to do. And the day I went to college, Montgomery College in Rockville, Maryland, I was standing in line to register for it because I wanted to go to University of Maryland, but I couldn't get a scholarship. They gave me a partial grant. It was way too expensive, and I didn't think I was going to be able to afford it. So I was like, well, let me go to a semester or two of community college and raise my grades, and maybe I'll get another grant or another scholarship. And that never worked out. So the day I'm standing there in line to try and register for classes, right, I'm looking through the pamphlet and I was like, man, civil engineer is a lot of work, a lot of math. And I don't know if I'm going to be happy doing that. Let me look through. And I'm searching through the little newspaper of all the class courses and all that stuff. And I came across television production and radio production, now called audio production and video production. But then it was TV radio production. I was like, I worked in theater tech and I did improv, and I was always a fan of stand-up, and I was always a fan of the radio, always calling in to make requests, always call in to try and win contests. And I'm reading it and I'm thinking, aiming a camera is not that much different than aiming a spotlight when you come down to the basic functions of what you have to do. I can do this. And so I did. On the day I changed my major, much to the chagrin of my parents, who were still very supportive about it. But they're like, what are you going to do with a radio degree? I'm like, well, besides working radio, I can go to work for a record company. I can work for a record label. I can go make my own. I could go work in a studio, multi-track studio, and record bands, become a producer and engineer. There's so much I can do. And then these talents of of being on air, I can transfer that into TV or into hosting or live productions and live events and stuff like that. And I did do almost all of that throughout the years of my career. And so, yeah, I've used those tips and tricks to do just about everything, because I've always had a passion and a desire to learn more and do more. And I grew up in a DIY age. I grew up when it was, the punk rock attitude of do it yourself. Don't let somebody else do it for you. Don't hire somebody else to do it. Do it yourself. DIY. And I was like, that's kind of the world I had to grow up in, because we didn't have endless amounts of people or a wealth of endless knowledge. You kind of had to figure things out yourself. If you wanted to host a TV show, you had to learn how to run a camera. You had to learn how to edit. You had to learn how to operate microphones, because we didn't have 12 people to stand around that were an expert in each one of those in one individual field to themselves. So you had to be a jack of all trades. And that's another thing about radio that was appealing to me, is that you were the everything, and TV, there's a guy who sits in front of the camera and talks. And there's somebody else who runs a camera, and somebody else who runs a switcher, and somebody else tells all of them what to do, and one other person running the microphones. In radio, you go into that studio, you flip the mic on, you play the song, you play the edits, you play the commercials, you set up the next music and everything, and it's all on you. And you're all by yourself in that room. And that was difficult for me to wrap my head around. That was a challenge. I walked in college, when I was doing television production, I walked in the TV studio and I knew how to work everything. I knew how to do everything. I had all the confidence in the world. And then when I switched over to my radio classes, I had all the confidence in the world, and it didn't matter one iota. I was bad at talking alone to myself. So I had to learn to be good at it. So that made much more of an appeal to me, because I had to learn to talk in a room by myself to people, to a microphone and nobody else around. I got good at talking to people, to crowds. It's so much different talking alone, making it sound natural, doing it in that timed atmosphere. After 25, almost 30 years in the business of radio and live entertainment, I can talk up a song and hit that post, hit the lyrics, just like nobody else. Because to me, that was the fun, to try and beat that time frame. That 12 seconds of talking, I'll talk right up to the moment those lyrics start. I still do it every time. When I used to host trivia, I would do it all the time, talk up the thing. All right, everybody, here's your next question for trivia. What two primary colors mixed together make the color green? All right, we're going to be listening to, speaking of green, this is When I Come Around by Green Day. Dun, 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 and then the lyrics hit, and everyone's like, all right, stop showing off, Dennis.
But that's the thing about it, is a little bit about myself. I'm a DJ. I run a company called Backwoods Production. I also, within the last couple of years, have ventured into running sound for bands, and kind of why I wanted to do this thing. I see a lot of people out there that don't really believe in themselves, no matter what they do, and it's the same for all walks of life. I want people to see that people like Dennis and Willie and whoever they are, that we put our pants on one leg at a time, just like the next folks. We've had our battle with depression, anxiety, divorce, whatever the issues are, child abuse, whatever the issue is. Me and you aren't any different than the people watching. And that's what drove me behind Soul Impact, is I want people to know that they have an outlet. There's people that are going to relate to your story. You know what? Great. Thank you for tuning in. I'd love to keep you, but go listen to more. Go fill up with some more. Probably within the last month, I joined a podcast network called the Scene Project. The guy that runs it, Bubba Starts, he actually I was at a festival and met him, and I kind of pushed the ideal of my podcast by him. And I was like, look, I want to do this so bad. I could taste it. And he's like, then do it. He's like, you're a people person. You have the charisma to do it. You just, and I was a little hesitant, because growing up, I had a real bad speech impediment. Like, and to the point where people made fun of me. So it almost made me subconscious, like, what if I encounter some of that comes up? So sometimes it does, but you know what? That's okay too, because it shows people that are different can still chase their dreams. Whether it's, no matter what you're doing, if you have a speech impediment, autism, no matter what it is, there's a way for you to chase your dreams, and the biggest thing is no matter who you are, you got to believe in yourself. I mean, there's a saying, and I can't remember who says it, and I love the saying, but it's one person with a belief is equal to a force of 99 with just an interest. And that speaks volumes, because I would bet my house on my business and my podcast, because I believe in them so much. And I've had my business going on 5 years. Has it been easy? Absolutely not. Have there been days where my full-time job had to pay the bills for my DJing? Absolutely. But growing up, there's this guy named Big Lee. We called him Big Lee just because of the name. He was tall and a big guy.
Not an ironic nickname, apparently.
No. And he was a DJ, karaoke DJ. And I just like, man, I want that. I want to bring the entertainment to people like this. So I started DJing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to make all these people that don't like country music, I'm going to make them like it again. So that's kind of why I got into DJing. But then I quickly realized, probably 2-3 months in, I realized just as I like old country, not everybody's going to like it. Whether you're at a bar or club, depends on where you're at, and just like you're not going to tell the same jokes when you're here versus there. You're going to play to your crowd. You're going to, if you have one guy being a smart ass in the crowd, you're going to turn your jokes to where they're directed to that person. People do it, you just got to believe in it, and I'm sure, there's songs that I could tell you have been such a big impact in my life. And like my mood depends, and I'm sure you can relate. The mood that you're going through depends on the type of music you want to listen to. Fresh out of my divorce, it was "She Hates Me" by Puddle of Mud. I mean, that to me is the perfect divorce song. Okay. And then, there's a couple others on, ironically, I listened to. "Wrong" by Waylon Jennings. But there's healing through that. Like, I can tell you of a time where my ex-wife come into a club, a bar I was DJing with her new boyfriend, and she come up and sung a karaoke song to him, and that was a tough one for me to handle. So what did I do? I got up there and sung "I'm Over You" by Keith Whitley. I've never seen someone get up and walk out so fast that it wasn't funny. So music can heal you, whether it's stuff you're writing or you've heard or whatever it might be, that you just, at the end of the day, no matter who you are, you got to believe in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, that's one reason I got into radio, because I had this, naive thought that I'm going to change the way the industry works. I'm going to break the bands to the world. I'm going to be the guy that makes people listen to punk rock and all these obscure alternative bands. And boy, was I wrong. But I will say that the realization in radio, when I realized that not everybody listens to music the way I do, not everybody's going to appreciate songs the same way I do, that not everybody's going to think about music in the same way that I do, that music is subjective and other people are going to get out of songs something different than I get, I became much happier. I stopped quantifying music as quality and just as more of a subjective opinion of whether it's for me or not. I looked in every song something positive, because you know what? No matter who you are, writing a song is not easy. Writing lyrics is not easy. Creating a song, a catchy hook, a song that speaks to people, it's not easy. And whether it speaks to you or not doesn't make it any less easier or better or worse than the song that does speak to you. You know, I hate when somebody goes, oh, that band sucks. Why do they suck? Do they play their instruments poorly? No. Are their songs not pleasant to listen to? No. Are they somehow not hitting the right notes? No. Well, then why do they suck? Because I don't like them. All right. Well, why? Oh, all right, cool. Stop saying bands suck and say, oh, they're not for me. Or you can say you don't like something. That's fine. But to quantify that your personal subjective opinion is the marker of quality is fucking asinine bullshit. And I'm so sick of it. I'm tired of being 44 right now. And for the past 40 years, had to listen to everyone older than me go, music of my generation was better. Now that I'm 44, I'm listening to people of my generation go, our music generation of our music was better. It's like, no, it's not. You mean to tell me, you know, maybe this is a little old marker, but 21 Pilots, a new modern day band, is not as good as Stone Temple Pilots. They don't write as good of songs. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean the songs aren't any as good. Doesn't mean, Heathens isn't as good of a song as, or isn't as, doesn't take as much. The song Heathens by 21 Pilots doesn't mean it doesn't, that song is because it was made in the 2000s, doesn't mean it's any less or more attempt at artistry and quality than Interstate Love Song.
Yeah. You're completely right. I mean, or, you know, it's not even genres. You know, if you think about it, you look at different artists. When they come out, you look at Josh Turner. Long Black Train was a great song.
Oh, Long Black Train. I saw that on Pornhub too.
But touche.
Oh, is that a different Long Black Train? Oh, I'm sorry. You're talking about the song. Yeah. Okay, not the video.
Yeah,
oh, my bad.
No. But there's that. And you look at his music today, isn't necessarily what he started out in. But it doesn't make it bad. You know, I had to get to that point where you were at too, where I like the old country feeling, the raspiness in a voice and the gritty country, you know. And I do feel there isn't as much as that today. You got some coming back into the scene, but especially since I've become a DJ, broaden your horizon. I can't talk. Mm-hmm. You've got to be able to go into it with an open mind. Now, a good dear friend of mine, his storyteller, he's a dang good artist. Now, at first, I was like, this music ain't for me. But then I got to know him and I got to know his story and I started listening to the lyrics. And I was like, you know what? Maybe it's more relatable than I realized. It ain't so bad. But there is some genres that's not for me. Like, I've never, and people get mad when I say this, but I've never been a Korn fan. It's not for me. I personally don't like the type of music.
You're not into Chutes and Ladders.
Not that I think it's bad music. It's just not for me. And it's okay. And everybody's like, no, this is how it's got to be. This is what it is. You know what? Me and you can disagree. And that's where us as society has to be, you know what? It's okay to disagree. You know?
I hate when people go, hey, have you seen this show? And I was like, no, I haven't seen it. And they're like, but it's so good. I'm like, didn't say that it wasn't. Just said I haven't seen it or that I don't have a desire to watch it. That is not a marker of quality, my desire to watch something. That is a marker of what I want to watch and what I want to be entertained by. Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean that I'm saying, oh, you're wrong because you watched it. People get so defensive so quickly when you haven't seen something that they've seen and that they like, or that you don't know about something they don't like. I mean, I guess it's better than the days of when somebody would say, hey, have you ever heard of Panic at the Disco? You'd be like, no. Like, well, what's wrong with you? I guess it's better that the two extremes of it was like, but they're so good, or what's wrong with you? Shaming somebody for not knowing something about music that you seem to know, as opposed to being offended that somebody doesn't have the same taste in something that you do, even when it comes to just casual viewing or listening?
Oh yeah, you get that everywhere though, because and then you get on the flip side of that, you get the people that think they know everything, and it drives me nuts. There's someone in my family, and I'm not naming names because they may watch this, okay? But they will. I'm a diehard football junkie. I love all football, all things football. I'm a diehard Chiefs fan, but I know all football. And he's in here talking, and I was just like, man, I want to. It's trying to explain something to another family member. Is like, that's not even why, dude. And I was like, and I had to get to a point where I was like, just ignore him, just ignore him, because used to I can. I'm stubborn. I get it from my mother naturally. I will argue with a wall, and I'll own it. And at the point now, I had to grow up, and it's really come within DJing and running sound, because I've had to learn there's bands that I've run sound for that isn't what I would listen to on a daily basis. But you know what? The passion they put into it, like you were talking about with the writing, isn't any less. I've seen people, and I'm not knocking the ones that are just musicians and have music written for them. I'm not knocking those. But I love when an artist gets out there and they write a song, they put their all in every lyric, and when they get on stage, they never perform the song the same way. And I don't mean by singing the song. I mean by the way their stage presence. I love that, because you know what? The way they relate. And I'm not saying the musicians that have songs right for them are horrible, because they are talented, and I'm not taking that from them. I just want to make sure that's clear. Because there are some that write it for and they can relate. So I love it when, let me rephrase what I said though. I love it when people relate to the music they're performing. That's probably a better way of saying that. And you can tell when someone relates to it versus someone just going through the motions. So, what is a song for you that probably has been the most impactful throughout your life? And kind of tell us what it's helped you through.
Well, before I talk about that, before I do that, I just want to point out, for those people who are listening to this conversation and like getting mad because that you defended people that don't write their own songs and stuff like that. I just wanted people to understand. He's talking about artists like Frank Sinatra, Whitney Houston, Diana Ross. People will go to the ends of the earth for some of these artists, and none of them have written their own song. But then you put on a pop song like Sabrina Carpenter, like, well, she doesn't write her own music. Well, neither did Frank Sinatra. Neither did Old Blue Eyes. So why do you give him a pass and not her? Oh, because that music is Frank Sinatra's music is of your generation, and Sabrina Carpenter's not. Grow up. Or
yeah, and I see what you're saying, and that's why I reworded it the way I did. Because
no, I know you are. I'm talking to the people out there that are haters, because you know what? That's one of the big complaints about modern pop music is like, oh, they don't write their own songs. Well, neither did Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley stole so much of his music; it's not even funny. But yet, you're going to put on Hound Dog.
Yeah, look at Johnny Cash. He wrote some of his own, but there's stuff he wrote that he performed. And I'm sorry, growing up, I wanted to learn to play the guitar, but I broke my arm, so I couldn't. But I wanted to be Johnny Cash, not so much wanted to be Johnny Cash. I wanted to be like Johnny Cash. I mean, he sings songs about shooting a woman down.
Johnny Cash's favorite song is Sunday Morning Coming Down, written by Chris Christopherson.
Yes. I mean, but you had and that's where I love to see, if when these artists all come together and they collaborate. You had the Highwaymen, you know.
Oh God, the Highwaymen. That's a good talk. Oh, you gotta those four guys put together. That's I love that song. It is the Highwaymen by the Highwaymen is a song of absolute insanity if you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, but they
Like,
all, and that's what I'm saying. They all come together and collaborated to write this song. It wasn't one person writing it, and that's amazing. And
yeah, a collaboration of 3 sane people and Johnny Cash whacked out on drugs.
yeah,
You know, like the song makes so much sense when you listen. It's like, I was a highwayman. I rode the stagecoaches. I was a sailor born on the tide. I was a dam builder. And then here comes Johnny Cash. I fly a starship. Oh shit, Johnny. Are you on drugs again, Johnny? I'm going across the universe. Johnny, wait, we're going to try this again when you're sober. All right. All right. No. Yeah. No, sober. I get it. Okay. You know what? I'll sober up.
and that's
I am a single drop of rain. Jesus Christ, Johnny.
and that's the thing. No matter where you're at, and like you said, I'm not knocking any music. I wish I had half the talents artists and musicians have, comedians in general. I think I'm funny, but then I tell a joke and it's dead air. So I'm realizing I'm not as funny as I think I am.
Yeah. And that's where my radio name came from, DeadAir Dennis. Dead air means silence. It's an ironic, unlike your friend earlier, Big Jim or Big Lee or Tall Lee or whatever his name was. My nickname is ironic. Dead air means silence. I never stop talking. It's like calling a big guy tiny. That's where this nickname in radio came from, DeadAir Dennis, because a lot of people ask where the name came from. And it's because I worked in radio, and one of my jobs was a censor for a morning show. So we jokingly referred to it as the DeadAir Dennis position. And then everyone realized I never shut up. So you know what? Maybe this is the perfect nickname for you. Also, we live in the day of social media. So, branding and SEO.
Yeah. And that's where Wild Willie come from. I'm a sound guy, and I get up there, and people's like, "You are wild. We never know what's going to come out of your mouth." So then we started joking, and for 3 years I didn't even have a DJ name. This is Willie with Backwards Production, blah blah blah. Now I'm like, I'm your host, Wild Willie, and it almost gives you a persona because like you dive into these roles, like on my day to day. I'm a natural carefree person, but like Wild Willie, he has this ego 10 foot tall, and that's like.
You come in on the shoulder of Wild Willie's ego. You walk into a room sitting on the shoulder of Wild Willie's ego.
That's right. Come on, climb on. I got you, and it's almost helped find me again because like through my divorce, music helped me tremendously through that, but I was still struggling at who I was. And the biggest song that probably helped me through my divorce was Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. I mean, I'm diehard country, and to hear a diehard country fan, I get a lot of crap about that. But I like, the man had talent. You can't deny that.
Yeah, there's a reason why people loved him. And also, if Michael Jackson didn't know if he not only was he a talented musician and lyricist, he wrote probably most of his songs. I don't know all the writing credits of Michael Jackson, but what he couldn't do, he brought people in. Like Michael Jackson bringing Slash to come on and do the guitar solo for, I want to say it's Bad or Beat It, one or the other, whichever one it is, or just that album, to bring him on that album. I can't play that guitar solo, but I know someone who can. That in itself, that level of knowledge of production, that's a learned skill as well. That was something that through decades of being in the music industry that Michael Jackson developed the knowledge and the foresight of saying, let me bring in these talented people to be able to support me as well. Not everybody could be a one-man band to do everything themselves. But it's that is another skill and talent in the industry that people overlook, is the ability to produce and the ability to know when to step aside and when to collaborate. There's one reason why the Police can never get the band, the Police. I love the Police. There's no, I'm sorry. You know what? I don't, can we edit and take that line out? I'm not ACAB, but I'm also not Thin Blue Line. I don't want to, I know I got the haircut. Looks like I was like, yeah, I respect the Police. Let me lick those boots. But I am not, and the band, the Police, I like. But the problem is you had, two big, huge tempers of people, Sting and Stuart Copeland, that that I wouldn't say they couldn't get along, but they were just so polar opposites and people of such strong personalities that and strong talent, and Andy Summers, the guitar player, if I'm saying his name right, I think that's what his name is, also an amazingly talented guitarist. You had three amazingly talented people put together that unfortunately couldn't put their differences aside. So much of what makes them, talented is what drove them apart, unfortunately. And, I got to see them live for those couple years they toured, and they were able to put their differences aside, and I watched Stuart Copeland videos and interviews, and I go, man, I love Stuart Copeland. And then a couple more minutes into the year, I was like, man, I understand why Sting hated him. Then I listened to interviews with Sting, and I'm like, God, he's so talented. His songs are so great. And I listened to Sting talk for 5 minutes. I'm like, now I know why Stuart annoyed the fuck out of him. Like,
yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's ever evolving. And, as you got to be okay to say, you know what, I don't get along. And I'm not saying we're not getting along. I'm just using you because we're talking. I don't get along with Dennis. But you know what? You still got to be professional. And so many people don't have that. They're like, social media is great. But at the same time, I get tired of seeing artists bash other artists on social media. It is not the platform. You're allowed to have your opinion, yeah, but you shouldn't use it to bash another person. That's the same way I run my business. There's a guy here that he tears me down every chance he gets. But I won't tear anyone down. And I've had people tell me, well, this is what this person say about you. What do you say about him? You know what? Bambi taught us, what did your father say? If you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. So therefore, not to quote a Disney movie, but it's out there. I already did. I didn't think about that when I said it. But it sounds so kiddish, but it's true. Sometimes it's okay to shut your mouth.
Trust me. If I knew to shut my mouth more times in my life, there would be a lot less stress in my life. A lot of time, my own mouth gets me in my own troubles. Still to this day, no matter how much I know and try, I still keep putting my foot in my own mouth. And you know what? Diss tracks sound fun, but they are stressful and annoying to deal with when you're constantly trying to figure out ways to come back at somebody and just like, they're not for me, whatever. Move on from them. Don't deal with them if you don't have to. But
exactly. It's okay to go different ways. You know what? You don't necessarily have to work with them, but don't put them down either. Mm-hmm. For one, they may be some little kid that looks up to them, and when you see that, you're destroying their role model, no matter who it is. And I use the same in my parenting techniques. I have sole custody of my little girl, but I won't put her mom down because my daughter hears that. That's part of who she is. So you kind of got to use a little common sense. Do you really?
I mean, kids are the products of their parents. The kids are a product in their environment. And, we live in a world where, it's incredibly important for two white guys probably aren't the ones that best to talk about feminism, but it is incredibly important for women to have good role models in their lives, both feminine and masculine, and that how your daughter sees you treat her mother dictates how she's going to let men treat her in the future. Exactly. I'm not a psychiatrist. I went to 6 years at community college and didn't graduate. I grew up to be a clown that points at buildings driving around a city in a duck-shaped vehicle. I am not the expert of mental health, but I can listen to the experts who say things like that. That the mental health experts, the psychiatrists and psychologists, there's that theory behind all that. How you treat your daughter, how you treat her mother, how you treat other women in your life subconsciously tells her how she is allowed and how she will be treated by people. And if you are the kind of guy that tells your daughter, oh no, that's boy things, you don't get to do that. Or, hey, you just sound like another dumb woman. Or, hey, you sound like your mom who's a bitch. That's going to influence her and tell her that it's okay to be treated by guys poorly.
you're 100% right. I mean, and I'm not going deep into my story because this is more about you than it is me. But I was a truck driver for 3 years. I left truck driving to be a family man. Then I lost my family, and I'm not going to go into details on that because I
Oh
don't
no,
need.
should we go find them? Should we organize a search party to go find them since you lost them?
Well, not
Did
that
you
kind of
check
loss.
between the couch cushions for your family?
No, but I did find $5 in change in there.
There we go.
But
That's one reason why I'm not going to be a father is because I'm too poor to be a dad. Like there's been no poor dads on television as role models. I don't know how to deal with being a poor like no one ever saw Ward Cleaver riding the subway. You know, like there's no shows where the dad had to scrounge together change to take the bus to go to work.
I mean,
Do you know how embarrassing it is that my kid's not going to believe in the tooth fairy? Right? The kid's going to wake up and go, Dad, I put my tooth under the pillow and the tooth fairy never came last night. Oh, go check and see if you left the money for your tooth between the couch cushions, son. Like, no, that's not. Like you have to be financially stable to be a dad, and I don't know how to do that.
I tell you, it's hard, man, and that's where music is ever evolving. And like, I want to hit on something, not to be a feminist or anything, and push people away, but I don't care. It's my show. I say what I want.
Right?
It was really sad, the fact that women are. How to say this without coming across wrong? Women are used for sex a lot. I'm just going to say it.
No, yeah, and women are
because
treated
of
like
their
objects
body.
still to this day.
Yeah. The
It's systemic. It's a systemic problem when it comes to the relationships between men, women, and society and itself.
Yes, and there's a song out. It's a country song, not bad, but she's somebody's daughter, and that song puts it all into perspective. You think about it, and you hit on it. That my daughter is going to see how I treat everybody around me, and for one, they're going to say, I want to be treated like that. And I've not always been the perfect person. My marriage, I had my faults. I'm not blaming my ex-wife. I own my mistakes. But part of owning your mistakes is growing in that. I had someone tell me one time that if you ever notice, the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. The reason why is it's more important to pay attention about where you're going versus what's behind you. Because I point to the fridge that's behind me, but because you don't know what's back there or how far back it is. But you know what? Who cares? And that was one of the hardest things I've had to deal with. I lost my older kids, and that's about all I'm going to say on it. But I had to learn that, for one, I struggled with my identity. For two, I had to learn that my past is my past. And, music is a great tool for that. Over and over and over, you hear artists sing about their struggles. And I prefer the real songs, and I'm not knocking the songs that are just for fun, but I prefer the real songs that have a message behind them. And I'm not saying every song don't have a message, but I'm talking them songs that hit on different situations, whether it's a divorce, funny divorce song, whatever it is, and like you said earlier, I'm not knocking that other music, not knocking it at all. In fact, I play some of that when I DJ to get people up to dance. But it's not for me. And doesn't mean it's wrong. Doesn't mean I'm right. And that's where no matter what we do as comedians, podcasters, parents, whatever you are, you've got to be able to stay true to who you are, And I hit on the network earlier, talked about that network I joined earlier. I looked into others, and all of them wanted to change how I ran my podcast. And I was like, no, because that's what makes soul impact, the rawness of it. You know, I don't have it right now, but my daughter, when I first started, she would come into the episodes, and I wouldn't let her come on camera, but you could hear her in the background. And I was okay with it, not because I was unprofessional, but because I wanted the people to see the real me. You know, at the end of the day, being real is way more important than being fake. You know, because I want someone to say, dang, Willie's been through a lot. Look at where he is now. And I'm sure you want the same thing. Man, Dennis has had his fair share. But look, he never stopped. He never gave up. And that's what Soul Impact is about. It's about giving hope to the ones that feel they don't have any.
Yeah, and music is that relation. I mean, there's other forms of art to make people feel things, and but for us, we music spoke to us. And to go back to the question of the point of the podcast is what songs had an impact on me. It's unfortunately some of the songs that have the biggest impact on me in my life were the songs about sadness, the things about depression. Like one of them that I can always remember to this day, and I immediately, the first time I heard this lyric, it immediately spoke to me. It was a lightning bolt. It was a direct shot right into the brain when I heard this line. The song Lost in the Supermarket by The Clash. And punk rock spoke to me growing up. Country spoke to you, punk spoke to me. And that the song first off opens with the hook. Pop music at its best by a punk band.
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look that one up.
And so the first verse of the song is, "I wasn't born as so much as I fell out. Nobody seemed to notice me."
Wow, that is deep.
Right? Like that's the opening line to the song. That's where we're starting, bro. And it's just like zoom right inside and hits me right in the chest. And I'm like, oh, I know what that's like. Maybe one reason why I became a comedian, one reason why I grew up with, as Kevin Pollak, fellow podcaster, has said many times, he grew up with the hey, look at me disease. And maybe that's the reason why I have that same hey, look at me disorder, is because I grew up with the feelings of not feeling like I was noticed, not feeling like I belonged. I felt, to this day still, I feel like an outcast. I feel like I'm a different part away from society and that I'm not like everyone else. And hearing that song and knowing that Joe Strummer and Mick Jones and Topper Heady and the guys of The Clash felt that same way. This band that I'm just learning and discovering, because I was a young person, when their music, I was already still young when they broke up. But that song had such a still impact on me. And to this day, every time I listen to it and I think about it, and that loneliness creates other problems. In the song, I empty a bottle, I feel a bit free. Just that one line tells you everything. Here's this person who's depressed, sad, turns to the comforts of substance abuse, because that's the only thing that makes the feelings of emptiness and loneliness stop. The person in the song that, his only comfort and relief is sitting at home alone and hearing the neighbors fight because now somebody's talking. This guy who feels lonely, the only place he feels comfort is he goes to the grocery store where they have good customer service. He's guaranteed personality from the people. Even though he walks around lonely and alone, goes to the grocery store and the person stocking the produce makes him feel comfort because that's the only place where he can go, because the customer service dictates that they're going to be good to him.
Yeah, I mean, and it really is. And you hit on something, and I kind of want to touch on it. The sad thing is there's so many songs that make addiction looks cool. And being someone that dealt with a lifelong alcohol problem, it sucks because, and I'm not blaming music for my addiction. I'm not. But there's times where I think I'm doing good and I hear a song and I'm like, man, I could use a beer. Or mine was never beer. Mine was Jim Beam. I could drink the tar out of some Jim Beam. And it almost makes it hard because then it leads kids down a dark road. It really did. It really does. It's like, well, this person says drinking makes you feel cool, blah 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 blah. And you know, there's a song out there that it's an older country, well, not older, but like a 2000 country, and it says, "If I've had one, I've had 13." You know what song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's me. You know what? That song is fun and catchy, but it's relatable and it's truth. And I think there need to be more songs where people are true. Yeah, you can sing about being strung out on drugs, but tell how you got over it. And that's my opinion. And I'm not knocking anyone. I'm not. I just think there needs to be more positive music for younger people. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, on that same, there are so many songs that glorify drinking and substance abuse. I mean, that was what the entire 80s hair metal scene was about, which is one reason probably why I've never liked 80s hair metal. But like even in other, I mean, like the Mad Caddies, one of my favorite songs by third wave ska band, ragtime ska band, the Mad Caddies, is a song called Drinking for 11, and it's the lyrics about whenever you're not around, I drink to excess because you're not here. Drinking for 11. That's just what I do when I'm not with you. My heart goes to bed. End of the bar. That's just where I'll be. Don't try and come find me because I'm already dead. The drinking has replaced you because you left my life, or, Bad Caddies have so many other songs too about the loneliness of them performing on the road and being a touring band. I mean, Black Derby Jacket by Rancid is a whole song about the struggles of living a life. 6 weeks on the road, 1 week on break, 3 months back on the road, driving in the middle of the night with a pack of smokes and a packet of seeds to try and get through the night so he doesn't fall asleep as he's driving to his next gig. And all he's thinking about is his woman. Olympia, Washington is about being in New York, touring around New York while his love of his life, the woman of the moment now, is in across the country, and the struggles that come along with it, the substance abuse that eases the pain. And it's very easy to see when you are struggling with similar issues of mental illness or, chemical imbalances. It's very easy to see how somebody else glorified using that substance to get through it. And you think, oh, that's how I do it. But it's also learned behavior. Honestly, sure. I mean, for me, luckily for me, substance abuse has never been a problem for me. Bro, as much as you like Jim Beam, I like Jack Daniels too. Like we're different, but we're the same. You know what I mean? High five. But luckily, drinking was never an excessive problem. Food was my problem. I have a food addiction problem. That's a whole nother conversation.
Can you not see?
Yeah, right. But trust me, and I'm not going to say dealing with substance abuse is not a problem or that it's easier. All abuse is difficult to deal with, but sometimes it is a little bit harder when it comes to like a food addiction, because like when you turn to the comforts of food, you still like Jessica Kirsten, who's an amazing comedian. She was on my podcast. She's hilarious, wonderful, funny. She has a great couple of comedy albums out. She was a producer on the FX documentary Hysterical, which is about women in the comedy business. She came on my podcast and she was talking about, she's also lives with a food addiction. And for her, one of the problems with the food addiction is that you still need to eat. I'm not going to say giving up drugs and alcohol is an easy thing to do. It's not. I'm willing to admit to anyone that moderation is very difficult to do, to be able to still drink and be able to, like so many people who quit drinking will tell you, I either have no beers or 100 beers. That's the way their lives live. When you have a food addiction, I can't avoid eating. I can't just not eat. Even if I'm eating healthy, I can still eat to excessiveness. Or that thought of, oh, I can have one cookie and then I eat a box of them. You know,
And then
like
you're eating
it's a
Tupac.
it's a different level of difficulty dealing with a food addiction. Um,
Oh
and
yeah, I have that
substance
same
abuse issue.
problem
And
though.
all of it stems from something. They all have a root cause somewhere, and we've too much times in our life treated the symptoms instead of the cause. Again,
Exactly.
not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist, not a smart person. Again, clown, costume, pointing at buildings,
Well, the more
goofy
you
car.
talk, I
But
think the more you talk, I'm going to call you full of crap that you're not a smart person because you have a lot of knowledge. But no, you're exactly right. Because see, for me, I've recently started losing weight, and that was because I've gotten so big because I was one of them people that I drank, and when I wasn't drinking, I was eating.
mm-hmm.
So the eating was keeping me from drinking, and the drinking was keeping me from eating.
Yeah,
So
your
it was
body
like,
gets used to that sugar. So even if you stop drinking, your body then craves more sugar. So what do you replace it with? Cakes, candy, stuff like that.
oh
You know,
yeah.
for me,
Now I never been a
the problem of
Twinkie
like
kind of guy.
the dopamine hit from eating sugar, you
Oh,
know,
exactly.
or even savory things that like we push that in society. Oh, the comfort food of chicken parm, like your mom made, meatloaf. Oh, meatloaf is comforting and warm on the inside. It feels like a hug from your mommy because your mommy made the meatloaf that you love so much. And oh my God, I'm just going to keep eating this because it makes me feel better every time. And then when you're also someone who's prone to abuse, self abuse, or someone who has been the victim of abuse, you even take that to extremes. Oh, I'm going to eat. I'm going to keep eating because the eating makes me feel good. Even though I know if I keep eating and feeling good, I'm going to feel bad because I'm going to be full and I'm going to be sick. And it's going to lead to heart disease and maybe even shame. And you know what? That's what I deserve. I deserve to be shamed because I'm a bad, bad person. And I ate all this excessive and gluttony. And now I hate myself. And that's when I have to stop eating until the point I get sick. And of course I deserve to be sick because I'm a sick person. Who could absolutely love a gluttonous pig like me?
And this is where I'm
I
going to
went
say
real.
this. And this is where I'm going to say this, and it's going to come across a little harsh. But the woe me bullshit, I I can't stand it. Now I was raised that way, and I had to break the hardest train of thought to break. Woe me, oh man, life is so hard. Blah 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 blah. My dog died, then I lost my house, then
Oh,
lost my
you are a
kid.
country music fan.
Yeah, but now I'm just saying the woe me, it needs to stop. It's just because too many times people get caught up in this is all going wrong in my life, blah 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 blah. You know what? Take 5 minutes and appreciate what you do have. We got a roof over our head. There's some people that don't have that. Feel better
Yeah,
over
no,
there?
it's sometimes that's that mental illness coming in there because sometimes that woe is me is what's soothing for their brains.
And I
And that's
understand that.
that's but that's unhealthy behavior. Probably some psychists, some mental health professional will say that is unhealthy behavior and that you need to break yourself of it. But
I've
again,
been
it
told
stems
that.
from somewhere. Yeah.
I've been told that. Don't mean I listened.
Yeah. Two white guys talking about two white guys who should be in therapy.
Therapy 101.
Yeah,
But
and
no,
it's all these things stem from something. They don't just come out of nowhere, and that's unfortunately like what we glum on, clip to these things that float in the world where we see something about us that goes something in about us in someone else or in something else in a movie, in a show, or in a character on a TV show, or in the lyrics of a song. And this podcast is about that, finding that. And sometimes there is that comfort in knowing that somebody else has dealt with that. The most recently for me, I listened to the song a lot younger and it never really clicked to me, but High Anxiety by the Suicide Machines, which by the way, the name of the band was right there. All their songs are about mental health issues. Like the name is in it. Hey, we're the Suicide Machines. Why? Because we think about suicide all the time. But they play these happy, poppy, upbeat, almost ska-core like breakneck speed pop songs, not pop song, pop punk, ska songs. And, high anxiety is about the struggles of dealing with, you guessed it, anxiety. The opening lines. Well, it's a high anxiety. I'm a victim of society. High anxiety, getting to the best of me. Later in the song, he talks about, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I don't know why. I gasp for breath. I'm really feeling like I'm on the brink of death. Like, this song is about a panic attack and not knowing how to deal with panic attacks. I wish this crisis I wish I could get this crisis under control. Then I could feel like some kind of closure. I feel this could go on without an end. I guess I'll have to ride it out. This song is about dealing with panic attacks and then not knowing how to deal with the panic attack. So you guess you just push it down and hide from it. And of course, that's the wrong answer, but that's what, his experience with it is.
Taught us.
Right? And it hit me recently. The Suicide Machines are about to celebrate the 30th anniversary of their first big record, Definition by Destruction. And I saw them on tour with Less Than Jake a couple months ago. And I was listening. I was like, oh yeah, all their lyrics are so sad, but at the same time, it's all set to this upbeat reggae, fast paced ska punk, get you dancing, get you skanking in the mosh pit.
I'm gonna need you to stand up and do that, okay?
Yeah.
But no, and I mean, there's songs that I've heard by different artists. Like my friend Bubba, and I talked about him earlier, and he is working on releasing a song called Drifter, and it's that way. It talks about, and part of the song, and I'm not great with wording, so Bubba, if you're watching this, don't kill me. But it talked about it. He had to choose between the bottle or something else, and that's my twist on how he says it. But it ultimately come down to he was just had to choose, and ultimately, yeah, mental health is really important. And this is kind of a PSA for those from Wild Willie, if you're listening. If you're watching this, or someone that is going through this, reach out. There is support, whether it's a veteran, PTSD, whatever it is. There's people out there. You're not alone. And oftentimes people throw around the word "I love you" a lot, but here it is: you are loved. There's people that care.
Yeah, we're still stigmatizing mental health in this day and age. As a comedian, I talk a lot about my health issues in my own comedy, a lot of my own mental health struggles and stuff like that, because I want to shine a light on that stuff. I talk about dealing with depression, dealing with my food addiction, because I want to make that not just therapeutic for me, but I want the people that also struggle with things know that it's okay to talk about these, especially with a trained professional, somebody that can help you out.
Not us, by the way.
I am not the trained professional. But one of the jokes, it's all stemmed as a joke, but it does mean something. Like on my website, DeadAir Dennis, and at my comedy shows, I have a piece of merch. It's a coffee cup that says, not until I've had my coffee. Which is a very common expression. And then coffee is scratched out and it says antidepressants. And I made that because nobody else did it. It was not out there. I wanted to see it because I wanted people to understand that it's okay if you need these medications to help you, and I always, I still struggle with my depression, and I'm currently unmedicated because I was having side effects with the medications that, weren't agreeing with me. And unfortunately I've had heart issues as well. And so some of the antidepressants counteract my heart medication. And of course I have to come to the realization that the medication that I'm taking to save my life are preventing me from taking the medication that might make me take my life. Like I have to live with that irony sometimes, and express that to other people, like certain, some of my heart medications, says do not take with grapefruit. Do not take for do you know how much I love grapefruit as a citrus? Like, listen, Oranges, overrated. Lemons, all right, they're nice in small doses. Grapefruit, I am here for grapefruit. But I also, at the same time, don't want to be the only guy that die of complications of ruby red. Because it sounds like I got stabbed by a stripper for not tipping her.
I don't mean to laugh at you. It's just the way you said it. But I feel you.
Remember, I'm a comedian. These are jokes.
But I feel you. I mean, listen, I can't have mine either because of my heart meds. But
by the way, I'll fight anyone who says grapefruit is not the superior citrus.
Listen, I was just going to say, and I'm glad you're over there so you can't beat me up, but I disagree. I can't stand a grapefruit.
You can like what you want, but it is the superior citrus. It is.
Well, sir, on that, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Now, I will tell you.
This is the new pineapple on pizza fight.
Yeah.
Grapefruit, yay or nay? Grapefruit, cantaloupe, pineapple, and pizza. All three, I think, are the best in their categories. Fight me, world.
Look, that's it. This show's over. No. But no, I tell you, my grandma had, we lived in Florida. That's where I'm from originally. Now I live in Missouri. But anyway.
I don't believe you live in Missouri. Show me.
See?
It is the show me state.
Oops. I just took a screenshot. But no, she had this tree. It was an orange tree and a lemon tree. They grew so close together. But it made like the perfect freaking fruit. I mean, it was amazing. But
maybe that's what we should say about society. Maybe we all society, some of us are oranges and some of us are lemons. And you know what? It's okay if we mix lemons and oranges. That's coming from a guy with a haircut that looks like he's a background actor from American History X.
As long as you ain't putting pineapple on my pizza, we're okay. But no, and that's the thing is you got to be able to agree to disagree. You can joke. Like I make everybody, there's this joke. I like, oh, you don't like that? When someone tells me something I did and they're like, oh, I don't like that. I said, that's okay. Neither did my ex-wife. I'm the same way. I'm the guy that laughs at funerals, Well.
Oh, like the bare naked ladies?
So I'm just saying everybody has their way of dealing with stuff. Not saying one way is right. Not saying the other way is wrong. Because who am I to discredit anything?
Yeah. Don't worry. Everyone's going to get that bare naked ladies reference in 1 week.
Well, we'll see. But buddy, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
You can find everything DeadAir Dennis at DeadAirDennis.com. Of course, I am all across the social medias. I don't post as much as I used to, and I regret it, but we'll get back there one day. If you're on Twitter, now known X, it's there at DeadAir Dennis, DeadAirDennis. Also on Instagram at DeadAir Dennis, on TikTok at DeadAir Dennis. I'm on Blue Sky, barely on it. I'm on the Threads. Blue Sky, it's another one of those Twitter replacement ones when they're like, this is where the fascists don't go. But Blue Sky is one of those social media apps. Threads at DeadAir Dennis. And if you're ever coming to the Boston area, the city of Boston, you want to take a tour, a comedic history tour with a little bit of music from my alter ego, UK Lee, the punk rock ukulele musician that has never sold a single ticket. So now I tour the city of Boston and make you my bandmates. If you want to join my band, you can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at UKLeeDuck and UKLeeDuck.com.
Listen, I never had a reason to go to Boston, but I think I just found one.
Right? If you want to take a tour of the city in a amphibious vehicle and listen to a bad punk rock ukulele player tell you about the Battle of Bunker Hill and its inspiring nature, UK Lee at BostonDuckTours.com.
Oh, that's funny. But I want to thank you for being on the show today. I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Absolutely. Same here, man.
Do you have any parting advice on whether it's mental health, following your dreams, whatever?
There's two things that I've tried to constantly keep at the front of my brain. And I'm lucky that I have the opportunity again now to be working with a lot of people that inspire me and a lot of people that I can call mentors now that I'm doing this tour guide job around Boston.
Boston.
It was my early years in radio. I got to work along people that inspired me to get in radio, for better or for worse. I got to work with them and I got to learn from them. And I'm learning a lot about not just my job, but people and entertainment and being a good person from my coworkers. And I have a coworker who's been a longtime friend, also stand-up comedian, now tour guide too. Good friend of mine named Dana J. Bine. And he's always had this positive attitude of something that he says is that your inner critic is an asshole. That little voice that's in your head, that's in your ear, telling you you're not good enough, or that you're shit, or that people don't like you, or that something's going to go wrong. Fuck that guy. Don't listen to that guy. Don't listen to that voice. And then another thing that I've always tried to keep at the top of my head, especially when someone asks for advice about like careers. One of my old radio mentors, great radio DJ named Albie D, told me once when I was trying to when I needed some direction at the early years of my job in radio, he said, if you want someone to consider you for a job, do the job before they give it to you. If there's something that you want to do, there's something you want to become, don't wait for somebody to let you do it. Just do it. And in this day and age with the internet, with podcasting, with YouTube, with TikTok, you can learn. You can do it. I never realized how much that I was already doing that early before Albie D told me, and I doubled down on it harder. I wanted to become an hosting personality. So did I wait for a radio station to give me a job? No. I started making YouTube videos, hosting things. I'm a stand-up comedian, and I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. I didn't wait for somebody to give me a spot on a comedy show. No, I went out and I started writing jokes and I started performing at open mics and I started becoming a comedian. Oh, I want to be an actor.
So was it natural for you?
I understood joke structure. No, it wasn't natural. I understood joke structure because I listened a lot, but it took time because you know what? There's things you got to learn a lot of to be a stand-up comedian. You got to learn a lot of self-relevancy. Like you got to just be self-aware a lot. And I had to learn self-awareness. There's one of the things about me is, hey, I'm a small guy. I'm 5'6". I'm not that tall, but I'm a big personality. I don't have to say a word for you to feel my presence walk in a room. And that can be off-putting for people. Sometimes I come on that stage with too much aggression, whether it's positive or not, it turns people off. And I had to learn that. Same thing with my ukulele character. If I come in onto that duck boat too hot, it's going to turn people off. The way that I've dealt with the guests or dealt with hecklers, I've had to learn the way that I deal with them has to be the right way. Maybe I'm right and justified in the way that I snap at them or yell at them or put them down, but I have to be aware how is that perceived by the rest of the people on the boat. So, I've always, those are the three things. Inner critic is an asshole. If you want to do something, do it before somebody gives you the chance to do it, and learn self-awareness.
Exactly. And I'm going to hit on one thing. He hit on something. Just do it. I mean, not to steal Nike or anything, but if a country boy from the middle of Missouri can start a podcast, you can do anything you want.
Like I'm from the camp of maybe we need less white guys with podcasts, but it's still the sentiment's still the same. Especially if you're a non-white guy and you don't feel like the world, there's something out there for you that you're not allowed to do something. Even if you're a not white, cis white male, if you're not in that camp, you should also start doing it as well.
Do it. I mean, there's no time like the present. I mean, if you feel that you can succeed at something and you believe in it, don't wait. I mean,
don't let anybody stop you from chasing your dreams.
And I'm going to throw another quote at you guys because I like quotes. For those of you that are battling depression and you feel like you're into the rope, there's a quote out there. And again, I don't know who said it. A friend told me, so I just steal it and I use it. But it's, you win if you don't quit. And It's a simple saying, but so true. I mean, so just remember, you're out there. There's hope. I know anxiety is a bitch, depression is a bitch, but you can't let it go untreated. You're not going to get any better if you don't get help. And if a 300-pound guy from Missouri that gets so many looks because he thinks I'm mean, but I'm really a teddy bear, that can do it, so can you. Just don't listen to people. You're going to have people that tries to tell you how to run your life. You're going to have people that tells you this is wrong, this is right. Screw them. Because at the end of the day, you got to look out for yourself. I mean, I'm not saying don't help people. I'm not saying that. But you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. So, Dennis, I want to thank you, buddy.
Thanks so much for having me. This was good fun talking about music.
Oh, we got to talk about my two things, my favorite things. Well, three: food, music, and mental health. My three favorite things.
I'm a huge proponent of mental illness. No, wait, sorry, reverse that. I mean mental health. It would have been weird if we ended the podcast with my entire sentence was, everyone should have depression.
Yeah, depression is good. Go find you some depression.
Depression will make you stronger. Whatever doesn't make you commit suicide makes you stronger. That's not what I'm saying. Yeah. Call help 988 if you're feeling that you're going to create a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Reach out for help. 988.
Exactly. But y'all that are watching, if you're not subscribed, like, follow, and subscribe. Those of you that aren't following my new friend DeadAir Dennis over here, go follow him, because y'all are what's going to keep us going and keep putting us out there. And if you find something you like by either one of us, or even if it's not us and it's somebody new, share them. Share their social posts, share their music videos, because that's how you're going to push them.
Spend that social currency. Like, follow, subscribe, and share with a friend.
Hey, Dennis, I'll share everything with you. You're my new friend, okay? But no, until next time, guys, I love you all. Remember, you are loved. You're not alone. And Dennis, thank you again.
My pleasure. Good night, everyone.